Hey, this is AKM from the Dallas Fuel, and you're listening to the Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Episode 211, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, February 10th, 2020. The time, 8:26 p.m. Central Time. A day late, but that's just because with a busy weekend, we just, we want to deliver the best. And so we just took one more day to look at some VODs and everything since we were out at the Dallas Fuel homestand to kick off the Overwatch League season. So we just didn't have time to watch everything. Decided, hey, let's not give our listeners the short end for our busy schedule. Let's just push it back a day and get it right. So that's what we did. So thank you for being patient. And just because of that extra day is going to make this episode the best episode ever. Because everything we talked about last episode, we're going to recap in this one. So that means Overwatch League Opener Season 1, Blast Premier Group B, CDL London, a little bit of Rainbow Six sprinkled in there, and not to mention a plethora of stuff to get into with e-news, and of course it's Monday, or in this case Tuesday, so we got Yikes of the Week. But before we get to any of that, be sure and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Our website, tcr.gg's, got all the links you need to our YouTube, Discord, Twitter, Instagram, whatever else you may need, that will be there. tcr.gg, be a part of the conversation there. Hello, my name is Tim. I will be one of your hosts for this journey into esports. But alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
What up, man? How are you?
I'm good.
Esports is like kicking right now, isn't it? There is so much going on.
It is buzzing right now. Like I said, it's like you get January, like late November, December, January, not a whole lot happens. And then like late January, it just decides to hit you all at once. Like every scene just decides to wake up. But hey,
I told Kelly I'm preparing for this baby right now. Like we're 20 weeks out. I'm messing up my sleep schedule on purpose currently to keep up with all the esports and be prepared for this child. So I feel like I'm taking one for the team on both ends right now.
You're not lying on that. It is better just to start now because it's just going to destroy you when it's actually here. No. Did you watch any of the Oscars last night?
I watched a little bit of the Oscars last night, like maybe like 30 minutes, and then I saw like a little bit of the opening monologue, although there really wasn't one with, who was it? Chris Rock.
Yeah, and Steve Martin, right?
Yeah, Steve Martin. So yeah, Steve Martin, watched that. So watched about like 30 minutes or so, caught up on the winners, obviously. I mean, I feel like Parasite was a surprise winner. No,
so I haven't seen it, so this might surprise you and our listeners, but I am a terrible moviegoer. Like, when it comes to my standards of movies, it's probably would make a movie snob throw up.
Like Jumanji is a 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah, like does Marvel make it?
Yeah.
Give it an Oscar.
Not that Parasite was a bad movie. It's just no movie's ever won Best Original, like screenplay and Best Picture. So awesome for them. That's a South Korean movie, and they represented well. What else? Joaquin Phoenix got
Joker. I did see Joker, but again, comic book movie. So of course I saw it.
You had to watch it.
I want to see that what is it?
1917. Yeah,
1917.
That was a surprise that it didn't win. For you to put it in your betting odds, because you like to talk about betting so much.
This is true.
That was a heavy favorite.
I know.
That was a heavy favorite to win.
So I put money down when the Golden Globes came around. I decided not to do it for the Oscars just because I got my ass handed to me, and I don't watch it, right? Like, I'm literally just making uneducated bets at that point when it comes to the Oscars because especially with a kid now, I don't get out to go see movies.
I don't watch a ton of them. I pick and
And
choose.
when I
But if
do,
you ever need betting advice on movies, let me know. My cousin is a movie
is he on
connoisseur.
point?
This dude is on point. He gave me the picks yesterday. He gave me 6 out of 7. No, yeah, he gave me no 5 out of 7. And the one he missed was 1917. He didn't have Parasite winning it. There, he did have it for original screenplay, and then he had Scarlett Johansson winning Best Actress, which that was also a little bit of an upset too. But
Yeah. See,
let me know. I got you
and
next
Parasite
time.
would never have been a movie I would have seen. It
I haven't
never.
seen. I've watched reviews for the movie. I have not seen
Yeah.
Parasite
Like I will
myself.
go
So
watch it now, obviously, because the hype is just unreal.
yeah,
But and with a Korean
gotta be
film,
ready to read. You gotta be
yeah,
ready to
I'm
read a
not
little bit.
against subtitles. It's just like again, my standard is Spider-Man and Star Wars. Like that is my level of, hey, is this how does it compare to how does it compare to Spider-Man Homecoming?
Lord
Okay.
of the Rings and
Yeah.
yeah.
But it does give me hope because if a Korean film can win an American Oscar, NA's got to be right around the corner with League of Legends. It's our time, baby. It is our
Cloud9's
time.
representing. Cloud9's doing well.
I'm telling you. It's right around the corner. I get all my NA notes from our listeners. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good right now. So I'm going to put my money on NA winning the League of Legends trophy. I don't even know if it's called anything, but I'm ready. They're going to win Worlds. Promise you, because Parasite won an American trophy. So it's time for an American to win in League. But enough about Oscars, because we've already admitted that we suck at movie watching.
Yeah,
Almost
agreed.
probably as bad as, like, it's not going to get any better with the Grammys. Like, I feel like some people are like music buffs and movie buffs.
We give you none of that.
Nothing.
Yeah, we offer nothing in those
Nothing.
categories. So we do give you great esports content, which is
out of
what
the
we're going to
number
start
one.
off with today.
Number one. Let's start with Yikes of the Week, and then we'll get into some of our previews. Anuj, would you like to start? Would you do the honors for Yikes of the Week?
Tim, I got one hot off the press. I mean, this is like just hours old material. At this point, a day old for the listeners, but hours old material. And it's from the lovely Grant Hines. Grant Hines is
Who's that? Never heard of him.
somebody who enjoys 90s music, as far as I can tell, 90s hip hop to be exact. He got a PlayStation or has a PlayStation, and his account is his official account. So that's what I know
That
so far.
sounds
But
like you read a Twitter profile.
this gained a lot of traction today, and I'm just gonna quote this tweet here. And I don't want to bash on him. I just want to bash on his opinion. Okay, so this has nothing to do with him, the person.
I
Really?
didn't even know he existed until today. So how could I bash someone who was
So to quote,
non-existent to me?
really disappointed by the amount of teabagging that's going on in the Overwatch League this weekend. You'd never see that behavior in any other established sport. If esports wants to be taken seriously, decorum and professionalism should be a responsibility of the players. And Tim, I don't know about you, but I don't compare the two worlds in that way. Like, if Randy Moss, it was already bad enough when he fake pulled down his pants in Green Bay, right?
It
And
scarred me for life.
pretend mooned the crowd, right? He got fined pretty heavily for that. But if Randy Moss had gone over to Brett Favre at the time and just laid his sack right on him, that would be pretty devastating. I would agree. That's not what players should do, not in those types of leagues. However, in gaming, teabagging is like a part of the game. I mean, I almost feel like the feature to be able to crouch in games is purely for the purpose of teabagging competitive play.
I need a 30 for 30 on the history of teabagging. When was the first bagged that was teed? Like it had to.
I'm
Like
going
GoldenEye?
Contra, maybe. Like
Ooh,
early
going
Contra
even
days.
2D. You think it dates back to the 2Ds?
Oh, this is 2Ds for sure. For sure. Yeah. This is definitely a 2D thing. You get your player, your friend, your teammate dies, and well, sucks to suck,
What
but you're
else am I
getting
gonna
it.
do with his dead body?
Got a teabag. You can't, resurrect him. So, unfortunately, I just don't compare the two worlds that way. This is a way of trash talking a game. You don't really get to see players face to face, right? Talking trash the way you see in competitive sports. And You talk about the Jalen Ramseys and the people, the Gary Paytons, the people that are notorious for like trash talking and smack talking. You don't really get to do that in esports, and so this is like another form of communication in game,
It's
and
shooting their
it's a
dead
way
body.
to, quote
It's
unquote, disrespect
yeah.
your opponent there. And so I just don't see anything wrong with it.
Again,
I
I
mean,
think there is something to it too. Like with you said, there is. I mean, to be honest, I don't even know, like, in Overwatch League, if the players use all chat in a game, right? Like, could Sinatra say something to AKM in the middle of a match? I don't even know if they do that. That might be over the line to them, right? That might be like, hey, keep it in game. Like, keep the teabagging. You can shoot my dead body. We don't need to actually talk smack to each other in game. Maybe that's where it crosses the line. For me, I mean, if any veteran listener of the show knows, there is no line for me. Like, I think this Grant Hines guy is a little baby back bitch, a little titty baby sucking on his mommy's titties to this day, because there's no way you can call yourself, and this might be a little gatekeeping, I'll admit it, there is no way you can look me dead in the eyes, Anuj, and say, I'm a gamer. I love video games. I love everything about them. And then in the same breath go, this teabagging is just so disrespectful. This teabagging's got to go in Overwatch League. And then later on, he tweets at you, because you commented on it through the Center Rings Twitter. Well, I just think Overwatch needs more drama. There's not enough drama and player, what's he said? Like player spice or whatever. I'm paraphrasing that. Well, dude, you just said you wanted to get rid of it. Like, what are you talking
Overwatch
about?
is one league where that's like more of that is needed to me. Like I want some drama in Overwatch League between the players. I love the way, we got a chance to speak with Sinatra and Super here the other day. And I walked out of that interview and I was like, Tim, those are like some cocky players, man. And I love it. The
Yeah, I love
bravado,
it.
like they know they're great. I want more of that in Overwatch League. And so if this is how they're going to generate rivalries and build storylines, and it generates just a little bit of buzz because of it, I'm all for it. I don't see the difference also between teabagging and shooting a player when they're already
No,
dead, right? Like walking up to him and unloading your clip.
and
in
part
the
of his
game.
argument is like, well, if you want esports to be bigger, this can't be a part of it because traditional sports doesn't have this. Hey guy, traditional sports has disrespecting celebrations. You had that college player who acted like he was a dog pissing on the other team's logo. You had T.O. go and stand and strike a pose on the Cowboys star. You have...
Now, some of these are flagged for that.
Yeah,
so,
of
like,
course,
they can
they're
also mean they're like...
flagged, right? But it's not like the sponsors are pulling out, right?
No.
They're
No.
handled on the field in the course of the game, right? Yeah, some celebrations get fined. So I understand if he's like, hey, you should fine a player for teabagging. That is still ridiculous, right? Just because it's part of the culture of gaming. But I could understand if you wanted a more PC environment. Sure.
Limit the tea bags then. Like the number of tea bags a team can use. Like they could be like challenges or something, or timeouts, but instead it's like you get 5 tea bags per
hey,
match.
dude, you went 6 tea bags on that guy. It's 1 tea bag too many. Too many.
Yeah.
That's a dumb point though, to say like that's what's hindering the growth of esports. Yeah, that's what it is. Big investors want to get in. I'll put in 20 million for this team. Don't want to do 25 though, because the teabagging. It's like that pickup league I played for Overwatch, right? That was against the rules in that pickup league, that beer league, right? The league of try-hard circle jerkers. You couldn't teabag, you couldn't shoot dead bodies, you couldn't talk smack, and I think that's what hindered my ability. Like, I need that. You gotta let this bird fly. And if you take that away, if you're clipping my wings, I got nothing. I'm just a guy who gets sick headshots.
That's it.
That's it.
I'm just another raw talent.
Yeah,
that's it.
Just another headshot machine. You gotta let me do something here, right? So in fact I did shoot an enemy dead body once because I got a sick shot on a Mercy. Shot her dead body, and I got like IM'd like immediately after that match. Like, hey, just to let you know, you can't be doing that. Like, what are you, Grant Hines now? So no, that's a big yikes. A big yikes of the week there. Yikes of the year material right there. I hate it when people people who cry about booing and smack talk.
Just building a false narrative.
Yes, 100%. My yikes of the week. Never wanted to do this, Anuj. I never wanted it to come to this point with the centering. But my yikes of the week is going to be directed at one of our very own listeners. Never thought it would happen.
Oh, Lord.
Everyone knows I'm the man of the people. I love our listeners. Every show we asked for you to leave your thoughts and opinions on various outlets, iTunes being one of them. And we always say we do read them. And this is proof we do read your reviews. And I will preface this. I don't care if you leave a 5-star. Love it. Love it if you do. But I really don't care if you leave a 1-star or a 5-star, because you know why? We're the #1 esports podcast, and your 1-star review isn't going to change that. However, I will read it, and I will argue your points, and I will destroy you if you're wrong. So, Sweetie Pie, if that's even your real name, if you're listening, love you. Thank you for listening. But I will not stand for your 1-star review on iTunes. And if you want to go back and change it, I don't even know if you can. But feel free after I dismantle your opinions on the center ring. So it says here, January 29th, 2020, Sweetie Pie. Host needs to do a better job with factual information.
That's you, because you're technically more like the host than me.
I'll take that.
That's directed at you, sweetie. I appreciate you.
Listened to the most recent podcast, and I have some concerns on the topics you guys reported on pertaining to the CDL event. So this is obviously after week 1 of the CDL. Don't know if one of the hosts was trolling, but referring to Dallas as Saints and how they didn't get a chance for a player signing is ridiculous. Sweetie Pie? Yeah. No shit. I wouldn't even say trolling is like when I'm trying to do it under the radar to get under someone's skin. It was pretty blatant, obvious sarcasm that I was saying this Dallas Empire were Saints for getting 3-0'd against FaZe so we could go to bed earlier because we were already up later than normal. I laid that sarcasm on pretty thick. And also didn't get a chance for a player signing. Yeah. Because he goes, as someone who attended the event, every team had a chance for a player signing. Chicago Huntsmen did multiple signings, only team to do it that weekend. Dallas opted not to. All right. First off, they didn't do a player signing. That's what I said. And they didn't do it because the event ran late. Clayster even tweeted it out himself. Saying,
I believe he stayed after and even signed some autographs, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure some of the players did, but I'm just saying as an official signing, right? Because it was already past 11 o'clock local time. So, like, typically venues, and this is not fact-checked, but typical venues have an 11 p.m. curfew. Like a concert venue.
Or, like, some cutoff, right?
Yeah,
like,
they have a cutoff saying, hey.
This happened this weekend in London. London was, like, an abrupt ending to the stream this weekend just because they had to clear out the venue. And so that's not the team's fault. I mean, honestly, that's just how esports has been. Unfortunately, a lot of these events
like even
carry
concerts,
over.
Right? Like I've been to a concert that ran late and the band had to cut it short. And they even said like, hey, sorry, we have a hard out at 11. If not, we're paying like $10,000 more for this hour. So you're wrong on that. And he goes, this is the best part. Also, a member of the Dallas party called in a bomb threat on the event Sunday. Sources, the Armory security team, and Minneapolis police.
Wait, who called it a bomb threat?
The Dallas
This is a
party.
really long review. How long is this? Is it done?
No. There's one more sentence here, but I just want to pick apart this part here. The Dallas party, like Clayster called in a bomb threat? Did Crim 6 call in a bomb threat? Like, what do you mean? A member of the Dallas party called in a bomb threat. What does that mean, Sweetie Pie?
If I had to guess, I would say it was Jay. He seems like somebody that would do whatever it takes to win.
He does bleed envy blue.
No,
so I could definitely see Jay calling it a bomb threat.
Ridiculous statement.
So,
what does that have to do with our credibility? Where the hell did we get that from?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think he's talking about that's why there were delays. And like we just didn't like Anuj, we have done 211 episodes for esports content. We live and breathe esports. But yeah, we just decided to leave out the little bit of tidbit of a bomb threat.
Called in by a team.
Called in by a team member. And his sources were the Armory security team and Minneapolis police. I looked all over the internet. I asked Discord chat. I had some of our most loyal listeners look this up for me as well, saying, guys, did I miss something? Because keep in mind, we were streaming this event live. We were doing casting couch for this event. If there was a long-ass delay for a bomb threat, don't you think the two guys who were streaming the event talking about it live would have noticed that there was the entire building cleared out for a bomb threat? Don't you think we would have noticed that and maybe brought it up on our show? And no, apparently Sweetie Pie is the only guy, not only in Minneapolis, but in the world, that Minneapolis police and the Armory security told about this secretive bomb threat. He's the only one that's been told about this bomb threat. No one else on the internet knows about this, but Sweetie Pie, our reviewer on iTunes. And also, Sweetie Pie, if I gotta just rain on your parade again, and I'm sorry if it looks like I'm jumping on you here. Again, you can always change this review now that I've proven all of your points incorrect.
Yikes, been a little aggressive today. We've taken out Grant. Now we're taking out Sweetie.
I'm fired up. So I've been part of a bomb threat. All right. The CWL 2017 in Dallas at the Dallas Convention Center. I was there when there was a bomb threat, both days. And let me tell you something. The cops don't just secretly tell one person that there was a bomb threat. You're sitting there watching the match. Immediately when the round ends and there's a time for a stoppage, all the lights turn on in the venue. Everyone's wondering what the hell is going on. And then all of a sudden, the security starts from the front of the venue and just does a sweep, very aggressively telling everyone pretty much, get the hell out of the building. And you're like, why? And they won't tell you why, because obviously security isn't going to be like, there's a bomb. Like, of course it's going to be aggressive, but calm and, whatever. And then they take you blocks down from the building, because again, if there's a bomb, you can't just be sitting by the front door. And then you sit for like an hour. 2 hours, sometimes longer, because obviously they're looking for a bomb. And guess what also happens? You think the news was just so busy that day that a bomb threat in Minneapolis just wasn't newsworthy? No, it's all over the news. They were all covering
the event. All the news was tuned in to the event.
You don't think a bomb threat would have hit the news at the opening of the Call of Duty League? You don't think there would have been a spicy headline of "This is why video games cause violence" because there was a bomb threat?
Dextero didn't even report it, and they report everything. I mean, and anything.
Come on, it could be, dude. A bomb threat.
What did
we just didn't
Shroud
know there was a
have
bomb
for
threat?
lunch?
And so this is why this 1-star review, I think, is just erroneous. I wish I could almost challenge it to Apple to be like, this guy just straight up lied. He gave us a 1-star review. Why? I don't know. And then to top it all off, his last sentence of the review. I like the podcast, but would prefer more accurate journalism rather than making assumptions. First off, my guy, when have we ever said we were journalists? Are we journalists? Is that what we do now? Let me tell you what, we saw actual journalism going on at the Fuel homestand. We ain't journalists.
No, we're not. We're not.
They do a lot more writing and serious work than we do. You think journalists would blast their audience? No. So, and again, part of it, I will say we do make assumptions. That's kind of part of our job as a talk show, is to make assumptions. So I'm just going to assume, Sweetie Pie, that you were high when you wrote this and delusional on everything you said.
But we can move forward as friends. I still feel like there's something there. So
I'm not writing you off as a listener. You are free to stay with the center ring. You can even leave your 1-star review. I would just like a formal written apology for these erroneous claims against the center ring that we all of a sudden didn't all of a sudden like, oh, I just made up that Clayster said it. that they didn't have time for a signing. And oh yeah, we just happened to miss breaking news of a bomb threat at CDL Minnesota. Okay. All right.
We good?
We're good. We got to move on because I'm fired
That
up
was
now.
like a yikes and a salt mine at the same
It
time.
was. It was.
That
But
was
you know what?
that was
Sometimes
like
that happens.
dangerous territory.
Sometimes you just stumble into the salt mine and you find yourself salty, and that's okay. That's okay. That's what this.
I've
is
learned
about.
after a couple of years in those moments, I just take a step back. I just kind of let you do you, and
I'd
it
probably
worked
say
out pretty
that's.
well. Like I felt a little tense at time inside, but I think we're okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the same arguments my wife have too. Just you know what? Just let Tim do his thing, and we'll regroup later. Yeah. So let's move on from yikes of the week because those were two giant, fiery yikes, if you ask me. Let's get on to some of the busier actual esports news, real news, not erroneous claims. There were no bomb threats at any event this weekend, as far as I know. Sweetie Pie, if local SWAT teams texted you this weekend saying, "Hey, man, just want to let you know there's a bomb threat here at the Rainbow Six Invitational," just to let you know. We don't want to tell anyone else, but just so you. Maybe that was the case. I do want to put a disclaimer that these journalists sometimes don't know all the facts. So let's start, though, with the homestand. You want to start with the homestand? We were there.
Well, let's do that. That was awesome. Yes.
So obviously the Overwatch League kicked off this weekend with two events. You had one here in Dallas, more specifically Arlington, and the other one in New York as the New York XL were kicking it off for them. So we were obviously the one in Dallas, so this will probably focus more around that. Just to touch on New York, because I honestly didn't get to watch a whole lot of it, just being, at the other matches in person. New York picking up strong. They end they come out of the week 2-0. And from everything I could read and watch, it looks like it was a dominating 2-0 fashion. London starts out 0-2. Again, we talked about this last episode that they made some roster changes with some pretty big key players on their roster. So to start off 0-2 for London, that fan base is not used to that. They're not used to feeling that way. So interesting stuff out of New York. But then bringing it back to the Fuel homestand where we were, and we can actually talk a little bit more about the matches. I'd say overall, though, so this is the second homestand that we've been to for the Fuel specifically, their second one that they've ever done.
Quite different.
It was different, but same, right? But I loved it. I thought they definitely improved on things from the last one. There was no power outage, so that's a plus. Right?
That is a plus.
City
that is a plus. Although that was quite memorable when that happened. No, yeah, you're right. This was like the one thing that caught my eye right off the bat was like kind of the double venue situation they had going on there. They had the traditional esports arena. For those of you that haven't been, roughly about a 2,000 seat arena with an outdoor kind of gaming and concession area. And then attached to it is like another convention hall, which I believe is not owned by the same parent company or whatever.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a separate arena next to it.
It's still owned by the city of Arlington.
Yeah, and they rented that out and created that into more of that held a local like high school tournament.
They did a high school tournament for various games, not just Overwatch, on Saturday, and then on Sunday they did a little college tournament. So it was cool because we've always complained about a lot of esports events where there's a lot of downtime, believe it or not, which you would think there would be like almost no downtime given the fact that you don't have to like resheet the ice or anything. You just go. And it's just, you kind of twiddle your thumb a lot. And I know we've even brought that up to people with the Dallas Fuel, like just do something in between to where I can get up and walk around and then come back to the matches. Don't let me sit in this dark room with strobe lights for 8 hours. I'm going to be bored out of my mind.
Have the center ring out there doing some type of live show while this is going on. Like something to kill the time for the people, And this was a great way to do it. The way that they had it set up was they had like several type of vendor type booths or activities that you could go. They served alcohol at the event, which I thought was pretty awesome. And then just had some like areas for you to, I think, go and just play on your own setups if you wanted to play, Switch or whatever. I thought it was also interesting that they did have more games than just Overwatch. That was pretty awesome in my mind, and a way to bring in multiple communities because not everyone is going to be a crossover fan. But this way, somebody that's coming from the FGC community, I promise you, they haven't seen an event like this.
Yeah.
Even Evos and things like that. Like the Dallas Fuel know how to put on a show, and Overwatch, the way they blend into, I don't know. I mean, it just all fits really well. I feel like I thought having Overwatch and these other games combined made for a cool little additional aspect that I didn't see coming.
I'd say much to like the CDL, right? Like going into week 1, you hear a lot of negative things around it, and we've even done some on the show, right? We aren't completely innocent of not spreading negativity. But when the event's going on and the games start, Overwatch, and I will say Overwatch, I guess Blizzard and the Dallas Fuel, whoever handles it, it's always a good show when you're there.
Yeah.
They always do, whether we were in Philly, right? The World Cup for BlizzCon. Overwatch is a good live esport. I don't know why. I guess because the hype, like the crowd gets hyped up for it. But
Well, the fans are real fans. Like the fans that are all there are like diehard fans. We had so many conversations with people, and it's like, man, like they live and breathe not only just the Dallas Fuel, but Overwatch, right? And so it's like you feel that intensity in the arena. I think you kind of feel it anytime a play is made, man. Like these guys are jumping, and it gets rowdy in there. And I know Super made a comment after the fact saying that, oh, the crowd wasn't that hype, and he had mentioned that in the presser, and I completely disagreed. I mean, I thought it was a really great crowd. I thought the venue size and all that felt really good. It didn't feel like crowded or cramped. Opening up the second part, like I definitely think they did a great job.
it was a good crowd for a team that went 0-2. Obviously, the last
Yeah.
homestand, it was much louder. Obviously more people. You're against Houston, but you also came out of the weekend 2-0. This time, the Fuel did lose 3-1 to Valiant, and then on Sunday, 3-1 to Shock. I saw
A
some
little bit
people
of a win in my mind coming out of the shot game because they
Yeah.
could have won. What was it, Oasis? Like that was a really
that
close
came down
match.
to the last team fight on Oasis.
The Doomfist coming out, I think at that point, like really turned that last team fight. And then obviously they took a map off of them, so that's also what
breaking
broke a
the
20
map
game.
streak on them.
Yeah, broke the 20 game map streak, and so
And I
they
did
should have at
see,
least
like-
felt good coming
Yeah.
out of there because San Francisco was good, man. They looked
Yeah.
good.
And that's one thing that I wanted to bring up is that like a lot of people were getting down. Like Fuel fans were getting down on themselves for being like, oh, we're 0-2, we suck again. First off, you were never going to be 2-0 coming out of the weekend. Like, let's be real. LA was your shot at a win this weekend. If Dallas came out and took on and defeated the Shock, a team that made one not even key roster move over the offseason, like that would be the actual shock if Dallas came out to beat them. And they did play well, like you said. They did fine. Obviously, Matt for Havana, you don't even get a point, which that was kind of rough, right? But I think that's where, again,
At that point, that you're probably feeling a little defeat there. You would assume, but I really thought like Doha, like the DPS looked really good. Doha was really good. I thought what Decay looked really good out there.
and those guys that you just mentioned too, this is some of their first times on a big stage. So I wouldn't read too much into this week on how the Fuel are going to be for the week or for the season. And also keep in mind, the next time they play, you're looking at the hero rotation being here. They're going to have like a 3-week break because they were supposed to play in week 4, but that's been canceled because it was in China. So due to the coronavirus, that one's been canceled. So maybe even good for Dallas, the fact that they don't have to fight what has already been an established meta, because I think we've just seen in last season the team struggles with trying to compete on the same meta. We saw what happened on Lunar Base Colony when they went off meta with a Junkrat and they dominated. Like it made I've never seen the Shock look confused, and they made them look confused.
And they admitted that, so, even afterwards, they're like, "Yeah, it was, like, a surprise, we didn't know how to handle it initially when it came out." And they played him so well, like, I mean, um it was really fun to watch in that moment, 'cause it got again, that is also another moment that I recall getting the audience incredibly hyped to see him come out, so
Yeah, so that's their schedule is pretty. In fact, all of Overwatch League is kind of light with the next coming weeks because obviously these homestands that were supposed to be in China, um, they show still canceled. I don't know. They've
not
said they're.
rescheduled necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously they're gonna reschedule them, but I don't know if they're gonna reschedule them in time for, to be on those same weekends and whatnot. So I guess we're
All in
just
all,
gonna
the
have to keep
top
an eye
teams came
out.
out being the top teams out of this weekend, though, right? New York, people expected
Yeah.
them to be good. They came out 2-0. Vancouver, again, a team that was in the finals last year came out 2-0. And then the Shock, in their only performance, played quite well. And so, it looks like kind of things were
Yep.
par for course there.
And real quick before we move on to Counter Strike here, or whatever game we're moving on to, I forgot. We talked to almost every player about the hero rotation coming out, and yeah, they might be a little biased, but I got the vibe that all of them were either in a wait and see state or excited for it, because a lot of them were saying, look, any chance to get rid of May or one of these bullshit tank combos or something like that, I am all for it. So that gave me a little bit of a reassurance.
I'm glad you brought that up because that was asked to pretty much everyone. And it was about 75% seemed really not only okay with the banning of characters, but okay with the fact that it's randomly assigned by Blizzard. I don't think they like the timeline in between. I think the 1 week heads
They
up
also like
is,
2 weeks would be fine. Give us 1 week to play and then another week to kind of master.
and they all related that due to like travel issues, right?
Yeah.
Like we're traveling, it's kind of hard to just get in there and grind, especially if that's a focal point of your team. But they all seemed very much on board with the idea of hero bans, how it could change things up. It can add additional, because again, it's not just banning that one character. Like Tim mentioned, there's usually a comp associated with the character that's being banned. So you ban one, you take out, and name any one of the
And I
comps.
did
There's so
say
many
this a
that,
couple episodes ago, did I not? Am I not an esports journalist genius?
man, Tim, I don't listen to us after we're out of here, dude. I forget half of it.
No, there was a point I did make, is that like you're not just banning one hero. Like if you ban one
Yeah.
tank, you're typically banning that tank partner, or at least the meta that was associated with them. And they all even said like they like that Blizzard's doing it, because they even
Yeah.
admitted if it were up to us, we'd ban the same damn hero every single time.
Yeah.
So all
Yeah.
you would be seeing is no May.
You would
Single
just
time.
see whatever's next up in line as the second strongest character.
Yeah.
So that would then become the new meta, would be whatever that next in line is. So at least this will add some.
It was cool to
Um,
get like first reports from players, right? And I really did feel like they were being honest with like the fact
Yeah.
that no, we like it. It spices it up, right? It kind of forces us to rethink the game. So yeah, I'm again, I was looking forward to it ahead of time, but now I'm even looking forward to it even more. So there's that for week 1 of Overwatch League Season 3. I would say, again, a successful launch weekend for them. Oh, YouTube numbers, not bad. Not
Yeah,
great,
not bad.
but not bad. They were
You know,
averaging...
everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, well, it dipped like almost half of what it was
No
opening
shit.
day last year." Look, part of that is there's going to be a difference between Twitch viewership numbers and YouTube numbers. You kind of got to compare it for the platform that it's on. I thought it did really well.
Yeah.
I think the other part of this is the VOD, the playbacks that they're going to get off of this is going to be more valuable to them, I think, in the long run, in terms of just losing maybe 25, 50, 75,000 viewers right now. They'll get those playbacks. You look at COD, it's pushing 2.5 million, 3 million for some of these VODs that have come out. So there's more to it than just the initial number that you're seeing. But I thought breaking 100K, sitting at what, 70,
I think
80.
probably sitting around 70, 80 if average. If I just had to do the eyeball math, I would
I
say
wouldn't be
that's...
disappointed in that. I don't think that they are, honestly.
No, and like you said, it's on YouTube. The first time we even talked to a guy who works at Blizzard who kind of seemed in the know, And he said, like, yeah, we are learning as well as YouTube on how to really take advantage of the live streams. Because
Yeah.
we've always said on the show, it kind of seems like YouTube set up this live streaming platform and just kind of forgot it, right? Like, hey, we got it working. People can do it. Great. But now it's like, oh, we paid a lot of money for this. Let's figure out how we can work with this league to get it out there even more and how to embed the videos and all that. I'm looking right
Hearthstone
now.
is the one that needs to be worried right now. Their
Oh,
numbers,
man. Yeah, we did
like
hear the Hearthstone numbers. That took,
a
uh,
95% hit,
yeah,
roughly.
like he said, like they
Like,
would normally getting like 70,000 or 60,000 on Twitch and got 8,000 on YouTube. He said that
was it
one.
even that high? I don't even know if it was that high.
He did say it took a big, like you said, 95% hit. Looking real quick though, like at the numbers for the replay, like this Shock versus Fuel day 2, just the VOD of that game, 138,000 views. Opening day for New York, the New York stream, 803,000. So almost 200,000 shy of a million, and I think that's value too, right? They look at that as everything. So
there's more to it again, just
yeah.
the initial.
So overall, is it gonna? I guess only time will tell if that was the smart move, but at least it wasn't the end of the world for week 1. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next? You want to talk?
Let's go CS:GO.
Some CS with the Blast Premier Group B wrapping up over the weekend. Anuj, I don't really remember what we said last episode, but I think exactly what we said was going to happen. I mean, it seemed pretty low key, pretty predictable.
Yeah, I remember. Here, hold on, let me pull up my quote. Yeah, right here. Complexity Navi make it into the group finals. Navi probably takes it in a close matchup. Astralis bottom out at 0-2. Vitality kind of scrapes by. And Tim, that's exactly what happened. So
How's
I don't
that
know.
for
Again, when
journalistic
people
accuracy?
question our credibility, I still don't get it. But man, what a freaking group, Tim. This group gave us.
It just goes to show none of us, whether you're the #1 esports podcast, aka the Center Ring, or Thorn on the desk, none of us know anything. The only person who got this right was Moses, who was 100% memeing.
Oh yeah, 110%, 110%.
He even admitted it. He's like, no, please don't give me credit on this one. Like,
look,
I did
not only
know.
to beat Astralis, but really to beat him in the fashion that they did. They beat him. They 0-2'd Astralis, and I can't again tell you, like, that does not happen to Astralis versus what we would consider unranked teams at the time, right? Like, it's not like
Liquid can't even 2-0 Astralis.
Well, they can get 2-0 by them.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like, you can't even get like the #2 team, not now, but at the time, right?
No,
they were peaked.
There's really like, and then Tim, one thing you mentioned that will make us sound a little smart is that Vertigo pick. Now they did bait them into the pick. There is a difference. The Vertigo pick came from Astralis,
right?
Not from Complexity,
No.
and that ended up being a map that the Complexity played really well. I mean, they played really well on Dust 2 also, obviously, but Poison stepping up in like so many key moments. I mean, watching this kid with an op or the scout, deadly. I mean, just such a deadly aim for such a young kid. Config looked like the veteran leadership that they needed throughout this series. Like, he played really well when he had the op in his hand. He was rifling really well, like doing just enough of, I feel like enough of everything. OBO, I think, led the team in overall KD, or plus minus when it came to the Astralis series in general. So everybody really stepped up. Rush, was one of the top rated players for the tournament so far. Not just their group, but groups A and B or whoever else, A as well. So everybody looked good on that team. There is a sense of unknown to them that makes them difficult to play against, right?
I'm not jumping on the bandwagon just yet, but that being said, Jason Lake, if you're listening, I know you are. You have my full permission. The next time I see you, for one time only, you can give me the double birds and walk away and not say a thing. Because not only did I doubt you, I made fun of complexity. I said there was not a chance in hell this was even gonna like you. Why are you even showing up? So you have full permission just to dog on me the next time we see each other, because a lot of people were proven wrong. In fact, I would dare say 100% of people were proven wrong. If you truly thought complexity was winning, you were memeing. Like, you just wanted to be different.
Not in this event. Not in this like.
Not their first showing. I'm not saying it was
Yeah.
impossible to ever have complexity up there. Obviously, their roster on paper is way better than the roster they had when Jason Lake made that famous tweet saying, "Hey, I'm done with this shit." But
You didn't think they were going to perform like this right now.
But like I said last week, and I've said it ever since Vertigo's been in this map pool, if there's one map that you got to take to be a wild card, to be that underdog winning, Vertigo's going to be that map. And I know we're saying, well, it was Astralis' pick, they were baited. No, there were plenty of maps when they picked Vertigo. They could have picked Train, Overpass, or Inferno, all of which I think
Inferno, one of their main map picks.
I think Astralis would have taken it. I think if you would have done that. So the maps that you played complexity on, Dust 2 and Vertigo, the most two friendliest maps for underdogs, because again, Dust 2, they could play this map with their eyes blindfolded, as opposed to another body part that you would ever blindfold. But you could play blindfolded. And then Vertigo, you don't know, right? Like, I don't know if that was a cocky pick. I don't know if that was arrogant. If they were like, guys, it's complexity. Let's just pick Vertigo.
Astralis is their record so far on Vertigo. I think it's 11. I mean, they have a very good record on Vertigo, so it's a confidence pick for them,
But
thinking that hey, we are good at this map. We are better than you. We're going to beat you on this map.
And I think that's where the arrogance comes in, because I don't think they're 11-0, or if that whatever their record is, right? Whatever their good record is on Vertigo isn't because they're just dominant fashion on it. Like Nuke, they rewrote the book on how to play Nuke.
Yeah.
They're not there yet with Vertigo. You might be dominating on it because no one else knows how to play it, right? At all.
Teams probably haven't had a chance to focus on it maybe as much as them, because they're very good at so many maps already. They're able to expand their map pool.
I even said in Discord, after Complexity won on Dust 2, I looked at that map and saw Vertigo, and I even said in Discord, it's timestamp, I can prove it. And I was like, boys, I think we're looking at a 2-0. And me being dumb, I should have put money where my mouth is, because I didn't, and I'd be a millionaire right now if I did. But I think going into this match, Complexity was like a plus like 7,000 to even win, let alone like if you would have bet 2-0, oh my God, you could probably retire.
Pretty good. Yeah.
You're looking pretty cush. So this is one event. I'm not going to blow it out of proportion here. I'm not going to come close to what Thorin said, and said this was the top 5 upset in CSGO history. I think that's
I don't agree with that either, just because I also think you got to take into the equation, what does that particular game mean to the bigger picture? And in this case, it's not much. Astralis still gets a chance to play in the showdown. This was also a group qualifier game. It's early in the year. Astralis hasn't played, hasn't played leading up to this. So there's a lot of factors that go into this that I would rule that out. But it was a very, very big upset.
Even the Dolphins can beat the Patriots once in a while, right? It's just, do you beat them in the playoffs, or do you beat them in the last game of the season, right?
And a lot of it is also, I think people are Thorin is saying this also, obviously, is 2-0'd, in a BO3 to beat them is more meaningful than Blast previously, when it would have been one and done there.
Yeah.
And day one, you had Vitality and Na'Vi, the other matchup, which was a hell of a matchup going into it. Vitality steamrolled them to take it 2-0 there as well. So you had Complexity going up against Vitality on day 2. Astralis and Na'Vi both fighting for their life in this situation now, because the loser is going to the showdown series that will take place in a few months. The winner has an opportunity to move on here to the next day. And you had Na'Vi beating Astralis 2-1. And so there's a little bit of a kink in Astralis's armor. but I don't think this is a moment to like panic at all if I were them. Um, again, you go back to it being early in the year. The Inferno game was an incredibly close game. It was a 16-14 win for Navi. Again, I don't take a ton from it because Simple really went off. I mean, Simple played, he was
He
plus
looked like
32 in the
old
match.
Simple.
It really was like old Simple. And again, if that has to happen for Navi to win, I think it's an unreliable way to win. But when it does happen, you see the magic of how good this team can be when Simple proves that he is, the best player in the world. And you saw it in that matchup. It was beautiful. They won 2-1, knocking Astralis down. That takes you to the final day here. Now, Complexity at this point is beaten Vitality. They 2-0'd them. So again, I think this is more embarrassing for Vitality than it is for even Astralis because Vitality had an opportunity to see the upset happen yesterday, and in my mind should have been
Woken up.
100% more prepared, knowing that hey, this team is capable. Whether you think that should have happened or if that was a fluke, they're capable of beating a team like Astralis. We need to be ready to go. And they came in and Complexity smacked them too. 16-10 on Mirage, 16-5 on Inferno. I mean, it wasn't even a game on Inferno. They ran away with it. 11-4 first half and then steamrolled them on T side. And so again, I take it for what you will. It's early, but two very impressive 2-0 wins to start off the year for Complexity. Got to be, feeling really good and knowing your HLTV number is going up pretty high there. Um, Going into the final day, Navi takes Vitality 2-0. That leaves us with Complexity and Navi for the winner of the group stage. Both of these teams already advanced to the
They're just
final
playing for
showdown.
prize money at this point.
Yeah, playing for prize money. Navi came in and big dogged them. I mean, not Navi looked like the better team. It was a 2-0 series. Neither map felt really close because Navi jumped out to an early lead on both maps. It was 16-10 on Train and 16-9 on Mirage. I think that's also more to Tim's point a little bit with some of the map selection here. Like Navi is a very good Train team. Train was also a good map for Astralis. Like that might have been a safer pick for them. But
Yes, you pick the
again,
not as even maps, right? Pick a map that you can be one-sided on.
yeah. And Simple went off again. I mean, he was a 2-to-1 ratio in those two games. And, again, not what we expected. It gave really it was some fantastic like viewing
Of
for us.
course.
So it
And,
was
and
it was
it's like
fun.
you said, you do feel good for Complexity. And if you're like a lifelong, like a legit Complexity fan, I mean, you have to be,
Through the roof.
yeah, no,
Through the roof. Yeah. I mean,
no
you're
pun
like,
intended, but Cloud9, right? You got to be on
yeah.
Cloud9 right now if you are a Complexity fan, because there is no way that you were supposed to be here. And that's me again. That's me talking ignorantly from what we thought going in.
Well, look, it's very rare for an international team, Tim, to find big success. You don't see it that often. Like the Counter-Strike legendary teams, Fnatic, NIP, like both, Swedish squads, full Swedish homegrown lineups. You got Astralis, like for the most part, homegrown Danish lineup. You've had MIBR, homegrown, like Brazilian lineup. It's very rare that you see like the phase type of model work where you bring a hodgepodge of international players. In this case, young international players, pair them all together, overcome language barriers, overcome being homesick, an in-game leader that was still finding his way on I believe heroic if I'm for blame, and putting it all together and making it work, right? And they found a way to do that, and they found early success with it. So we're obviously rooting for them. I mean, I want them to do so well, and
they
I
do
hope
well.
they
I just didn't think they
continue
would.
it. But yeah, it's a surprise to us because you don't see those results from that type of setup bringing in the youth at the same time. Like this is a team that's only going to get better. So if this is a start, I can't wait to see where the end is.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. In 4 months, we could say, "Wow, do you remember when this run started?" Right? All started in Group B by 2-0ing Astralis. So that's exciting stuff for Complexity and Jason Lake and everyone out there. For Group C, that will be starting this Friday on Valentine's Day. 100 Thieves, G2, Evil Geniuses, and OG. So we will talk about that on Thursday's episode a little bit to preview it, and then of course recapping it on Monday. What else is on the list? Oh, Call of Duty, the CDL London week 2 kicked off. Another another really good outing for this weekend. This weekend, man, did not disappoint.
No.
For it is a good weekend to be one of the only multi esports podcasts out there, because I would hate to just be an Overwatch podcast or a Counter-Strike podcast, because
There's
it's
too
so,
many fun events to talk about because all of these events this weekend had a lot of meaning, and there was a lot on the line for these teams. It wasn't just like, oh, this is just your run of the mill DreamHack Dallas event, and this is like every event that was in. No knock on DreamHack Dallas, but that's not generally like a big Masters event, although it was last year. These events this weekend were really something, and you're right. I'm so glad that we get to dive into each of them because this one meant a lot. This one was here in It was there in London. It was at the what was it? The Copper Box Arena, I believe is what it's called over there. And Tim, we had the matchups we wanted again. Like I feel like we had a handful of matchups that we were excited to see. We talked about them last week. We were looking forward to the Empire versus Seattle, right? Both of these teams, so much on the line in Group A. You knew one of these teams was really going to be reeling after this match. They were going to fall to what was it? What would that have made them? 0-4, I
yeah.
think, right? That would have made them 0-4 on the season, and you would have been scratching and clawing
Well,
and fighting
if
for
they
your
lost
life.
to Seattle, they would have been 0-3.
Yeah, whatever. They were both of them being winless,
Yes.
and needed to find an opportunity to win. Again, the Huntsmen, you obviously wanted to see what they were going to bring to the table, and all of these guys pretty much showed up. Um, Group A, you started off with who was it? Huntsmen going up against Gorillas. They looked pretty dominant there. Same thing. You had Dallas against Seattle, the one we were waiting for.
To have the
Tim.
broad conversation, I want to ask you real quick, because there's not really going to be another chance to talk about them. But the Gorillas. We even got Prong Attack in chat saying he's starting to think that they're not good. And I would have to say, like, in week one, the kind of narrative for any team that went winless was like, oh, this team's better than that. Look at the players on it, right? Look at the players. But it's funny because we did talk to the general manager for the Vancouver Titans for Overwatch, and he's also with obviously Seattle Surge, and he was saying, he's like, yeah, it's getting difficult because these guys are used to having some warm up fluffer teams, if you will, at like the previous COD events, where this one here, you're pretty much going into a top 8 situation. Like you are in the winner's bracket, top 8 already. So it's like the teams are kind of getting exposed who aren't as quick to start. I'm starting to think LA Gorillas might be one of those teams.
Well, they looked okay in Minnesota, right? They went 1-1 on the weekend.
Yeah.
Um, I think you're going up against the Huntsmen, who I think is a better team. So I get that they did not do well this weekend, but I think the teams that were involved this weekend from the Paris Legion, like they performed really well last weekend. So we didn't know exactly what we were getting from them. So now they end up being a more formidable opponent. Same thing with the Royal Ravens. People were kind of knocking them off because we hadn't seen them a lot in scrims, and they turned out to be a formidable opponent. So it's not like the Gorillas is just sitting here and playing in a like every team they're playing turned out to actually be pretty good in this particular event. I know the Subliners had a rough start last week also, but we know there's a lot of talent on that team, right? Like Zuma attached. Like these guys are very capable players. And so I think it's just too I guess what I'm saying is I think it's a little too early to tell what we have here. I think it's just you're also allowed to be concerned if you're a team that is getting slaughtered and not getting any points out of it. Like you haven't managed to scrape across any points throughout the season so far, and you've been to both events, like you should be pretty nervous at this point. But again, Gorillas losing to Huntsman, shocking? Like, no, I think
No.
Huntsman would have been predicted to win in anybody's book, right? Um, and then we had the matchup, for me on the first day that again we were all looking forward to, and that was the Empire versus Seattle, and Empire dominated them. I mean, they 3-0'd smacked them. They were really, I think, hungry to play Chicago again. I think they wanted an opportunity. If they won that game, they were going to be playing them again. I think they wanted that opportunity. Um, but that was a win that I was like, okay, I could kind of breathe a little bit. Like we needed
Yeah.
that one. We
Yeah.
really, really needed that one. I say the Empire really like needed that one. So I am happy that they were able to get that win. I'm happy they got a chance to go back and go head to head against the Huntsmen, which they got to do a couple of times this weekend. And yeah, I mean, any other takeaways on that matchup?
No, I mean, like you said, I think for both of those teams, their mindset was, okay, we are better than what we were the previous week. The difference though is with Dallas is they're kind of the league's heel, right? I feel like they've kind of taken on like they're okay with having the target on their back every time, because going into it they were the favorites. They were dominating in scrims, and then of course a patch dropped like 8 hours before the league started. So they have even credited to that, saying like, yeah, that kind of threw off our week one performance. But I think because they were so vocal and so confident going into the season, that's kind of put that target on their back. And we've seen it. We'll talk about it later. But like when they played London, right, the home fans really let them hear it. So, but no, yeah, I thought it was a good 3-0 for the Empire.
Yeah, and then they went on to play the Huntsmen. Unfortunately, in that series, um, Scump and them were just a little much. They ended up taking them 3-1, beating them there. The Surge ended up playing the LA Gorillas at that point. That's where they did find their first win finally. So they did get a 3-1, I believe, series win there. What else do we got, Tim? Do you have B up in front of you?
Yeah, so B, you had New York defeating Paris 3-1. Which again, I think that's also a big one, because in week one, Paris was surprising. And New
Yeah.
York was surprising, but in the way you don't want to be. So that was big for them. The London, being the home team, defeated Toronto 3-1. London is still that team that I think they're legit. I don't think this was like a hot streak that they had for the first 2 weeks. I think London is a legit contender right now for this league.
Well, Wuskin was dominant again in this tournament, right? And so if you're going to have one of the best players in the world on your team, you're probably going to have a chance in a lot of the matches. And he's done it now in back-to-back events. And so, um, again, I just don't know how many people saw that coming. It's crazy that he's able to dominate the way he is right now. But yeah, London has been a dangerous team and looked all the way, looked good even in the semifinals loss. Like it's not like Dallas was able to stroll
I
right
mean,
over them. They
let's
had a
be
close
real. Like
match
in the
there.
semis, we could skip to it if you want, just to kind of openly talk about it. They got reverse sweeped, which is that embarrassing? Does it suck? Yeah, absolutely, that sucks. But at the end of the day, you kind of look at each other and goes, guys, we were up 2-0. We had it, right? Like that was ours to take. We got reverse sweep. We got rolled. But we were up 2-0 at one point in time. We just had to learn how to close it out.
Yeah, that happened to them twice. They were actually on the positive end of the reverse sweep the first time, and then ended up being on the losing end of it this time, which that had to be rough because that's in front of the home crowd
Home
and
crowd. But again, that's where I saw like the Empire fans, or Empire, the team. They did not call in a bomb threat this time like they did in Minnesota, but they stood up and they were talking smack to the crowd and having fun with it. And again, that's what you love to see, and I think that's what Dallas as a team needs, right? I don't think they are that team that should like put their head down and pout if they lose. Because, I know not all of them were on E United, but Clayster, right? That was a big issue that I always felt like with E United, is that when they were down, and it affected their gameplay. What you don't want is losing to all of a sudden snowball and affect your
Yeah.
gameplay.
No, they knocked out a couple of good wins this weekend. Like this is definitely going to help rebound. The nice thing is we're seeing Clayster and Crims play at a level that we weren't expecting. Not to say that we didn't think that they would perform poorly, but this was supposed to be Illy and Shotzi and Huke's team, and Clayster and Crims were supposed to be the veteran leadership and be able to pull out their performances and work off of them. Well, really, it's been the other way around. Like Clayster and Crims have been keeping the team afloat right now, and dropping 30 plus bombs in some of these games and looking really good. So once these young guns pick it up and feel comfortable, and I do believe that they will, this is still going to be a really dangerous team. You mentioned it so many times, Tim, that if Dallas is going to lose, why not lose to the teams that we consider to be the best teams in the league right
Yeah.
now? They're
I
not losing to
we ran into
go
Mike Raffel, obviously the owner for the Empire, and I said that. I was like, look, if you're gonna lose, you're losing to the number one team in the league. Now I know that probably doesn't matter to him. Being the owner, he's probably like, yeah, that's great and all. We should probably win every game. But from a fan, from a guy who talks about the team, I'm not gonna sweat it, right? That's something that you can work on and improve through the season, right? Watch film, learn from experience. We've seen such a big jump from week 1 to 2. I think they have like a 2 or 3 week break now. I think the next time they play is when they're here in March.
which might be a good thing. Like, right? Like
Yeah.
you come off of a tournament, you played pretty well in the tournament, but you still know you have a lot to work on, and that's a good way to probably a good mentality to have. Now, Chicago did play Paris in the other semifinals. They beat them 3-2. We were very close to having a Paris and London finals in London, and that would have been something. I mean, you want to talk
Yeah.
about a home crowd getting
Have
into it,
both
and
European teams there.
oh my gosh, it would have been a fantastic pairing. We did get another fantastic pairing again, Dallas and Chicago getting a chance to go head to head. This one really, they should have won the hard point. They had the hard point in the first matchup. I had a chance to watch that as we were like getting ready to go into the Overwatch event. I was sitting there in my car watching this, and Dallas really had that hard point. They lost it on the last flip, or I think Scump got a really crucial turn on the spawn points. It put Fuel in a bad, or Empire in a bad spot, and the rest was kind of history. They lost that. They lost on S&D, and then from there it was just it snowballed into a 3-0. And so again, it's got to be tough to lose to the same team. What now in 3 separate occasions in 2
Especially
events?
like for that, right? With
Everything that's
Stump
there,
and
right? Like the
everything that's piled
rivalry.
in on it. You got your ex over there, and you think, oh, eventually her new boyfriend's gonna get fat, and every time you see him, you're like, damn, he is good looking.
He's still rocking
I
a 6-pack right
do
now.
not blame her. And
Yeah.
right now, Chicago is that new sexy boyfriend that you are just waiting to get fat, but
Hey, like at the same time, Chicago could be hot at the wrong time, right? Like
yeah.
you could be really good right now. It's going to matter what you look like at the end of the year. Obviously, you need to get into the final, event, for any of this to matter. So you do got to play well now to make that happen. But there's a long way to go for all of these teams. Like again, the Gorillas, the Empire, the Surge. The Surge are just in a tough
It's such a
spot right
young
now.
season and a half. I mean, look, what, this was 8 teams? 8 teams out of the 12 or whatever, however many is in the league. So, yeah, I mean,
Look,
it's such a small
nobody
sample
is
size.
only the Huntsmen have kind of trickled away from the pack after 2 weeks or 2 events. And again, not all teams have participated, but everybody's still stacked right there. Like even after the next event that the Empire sit out on, even if all these other teams perform well beneath them, they're not going to get jumped by that much. So
Right.
very early in the season, a lot of Call of Duty to go, but it has been fun so far. And the next event will actually be in Atlanta. That'll be February 22nd. It'll be hosted by the Atlanta FaZe. And at that event, again, you will not have the Empire. You'll have FaZe, Huntsman, Rocker, Legion, Mutineers, Ravens, Toronto, and Optic LA. So that'll be a fun one. You're gonna have FaZe and Huntsman, both teams that were in the first event championship together, and I anticipate to see a rematch most likely.
Yeah, so that you have a pretty good decent amount. And also one other note too, there is a strong push from the pros and the community side to get rid of Dom. Like domination might not be in the competitive play pool as far as on the pro level for much longer. So who knows how that shakes it up.
I don't like it in the
It's
pro
boring as hell.
It
And
is such a casual man's map, man or woman's map. It is not a like competitive game mode. Has domination always been a competitive game mode? Like I know we're missing like uplink and things of that
I
sort.
think it's
I,
been in some. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
honestly, for me, take out domination and throw capture the flag in there.
Yeah.
Capture the flag.
And I know some of the pros like Crim6 tweeted out like the maps just aren't good for capture the flag. Can we just test the water? Can we please? Because right now,
Again, domination to me is just not a fun competitive game mode. It's just a very casual.
well, it's the way they have it set up. I was watching a match. I forget what teams were playing, but they were like, I shit you not, Anuj, like 30 seconds left in the game, and it was mathematically impossible. So here I am watching 30 seconds of just nothing, uselessness. And I'm like, and I've often said, if you're going to do domination, I would almost like to have no time limit whatsoever and just do the first 250. Right?
Yeah.
And then maybe like make it halfway to 250. That's when you, like at 125, then you do halftime to flip. Right?
Because one team hits that or something.
Right. Because at this point, I just think it is so difficult and not exciting to make a comeback. Because again, you see the mathematically and the time, you're up against the clock, and I
know
wanna
it. Like you know when it's over, and it doesn't happen. Like
there
there's
are
not like a
times too, like-
climax moment in that type of game mode, right?
There are
It
even
just
times where like a team will 3-cap, but the other team knows, like, let them 3-cap. We only got to get one to make it mathematically impossible for them to score in the next 10 seconds. So
Yeah.
everyone stack A and get it. So that's why it's like I would like to see either it change or just be removed. So who knows? Maybe that will happen by Atlanta. Who knows? But that's another thing that can shake up the lineup. The other event that we had this weekend, last but not least, we won't talk about a whole lot because it was only the group stages, but there's still some notes. The 6 Invitational 2020, of course, Rainbow Six Sieges, Super Bowl event, if you will, $3 million on the line. We had the group stage, some already big eliminations out of this. Team Empire, which is always a favorite going in. They went 1-2 in the group stage. So that kind of helped. G2 hasn't been performing like G2. So really going into the playoff brackets, it's kind of anyone's game.
G2 wasn't even like, I mean, in a lot of people's eyes, shouldn't even have been invited to the event. And then on top of that, they got placed into the weakest group. It caused the most exciting game for us. And we mentioned it last week, which was the BDS Shaiko matchup versus G2. That was obviously the match that I was definitely tuned into to watch, and it didn't disappoint in Group D. But Group D was definitely the weakest group. Both of those teams obviously advancing. Group C was the Brazilian brawl that made that kind of fun with 3 teams from Brazil, kind of guaranteeing them one into the playoff stage. But you had NIP and MIBR advance there, and unfortunately, Liquid fell short. There was some hope for them to make it through, but that obviously did not happen.
Our boys, Space Station Gaming,
Yeah,
our listener
Space Station
Kai, number
Gaming.
1 fan, Space Station. If you're listening, you give us merch, we'll give it to your number 1 fan. Maybe your only fan. I don't know. It is still nuts to me to know that Space Station Gaming was a team that I saw like 3 years ago at DreamHack Austin. And they sat down the row from us playing in the BYOC Rainbow Six tournament to qualify for the pro bracket.
And look, they were a favorite to come out of this bracket. Like they
Of
were
course.
expected
No,
to
like I
advance
said, they've
through,
completely they're
TSM
legit
as well. And so Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic for them because that's not a team you generally see in a lot of these. They grew their way
Yeah.
into what they are,
For a
and
team
that's
that I saw
something.
having a coach in a BYOC tournament thinking, what a bunch of tryhards doing this, I guess, shame on me for not believing
Yeah,
in
I mean,
Space
good on
Station
them.
Gaming. Funny Twitter,
I
though. They're good on Twitter.
mean,
So the
Card Zero's number
playoffs.
one NA team makes it through, so we had a pretty good
Yeah,
showing. And you're right,
that is
Tim.
true. They
Empire
are
not
there.
making it through was probably the biggest surprise of the weekend.
All right. So the playoff bracket is to start tomorrow. So maybe by the time you're even listening to this, we already have the first round, the quarterfinals, will be set, and then we'll know who's that. I don't believe any team's getting eliminated. No. So it's literally just the 4 matches in the quarterfinals. Will be played tomorrow. We got NIP versus TSM, G2 versus Fnatic, Space Station versus MIBR, Dark Zero versus BDS. Eyeball Test says those are all pretty clear winners. Maybe the NIP TSM one might be, but I would almost say like all of them are pretty safe bet on who's going to win each of those matchups. So we'll touch on that though, I guess on Thursday's show, because by then the semis will be done.
Yep.
All right. Well, that I think just about does it for the exciting weekend. Was there anything else I missed from any of the other events?
I mean, were there any? There were probably some events that we missed, which is the
sure.
scary part.
I'm sure there were, but for the big ones that we previewed last episode, there you go there. One note, too, though, while we were at the Dallas homestand, we did bump into Envy's CSGO team. Bunch of good dudes there.
That was cool. It was funny because, so I was rocking my Envy, traditional hoodie. I don't know what they call it, like the OG Envy hoodie, I think is what they call it. Anyways, we're standing there and we see Nifty walk by, and I was like, just introduce myself, and it was funny because Tim felt like he was shocked that he got recognized.
You could definitely tell
at the event.
CSGO players don't get recognized too often at Overwatch events.
He's like, y'all like CSGO? And I was like, man, that's our bread and butter. Like, this is what we talk about all the time on the show. And it was cool because we got a chance to meet Moose, meet you. Like, the whole crew was there. And so that was pretty neat, though. That was neat. We'll definitely have to get one of them, or if not multiple, on the show soon.
Yeah, we'll work with the team to get some of them on for sure. All right, well, let's get into some e-news. We got quite a bit to get to. For CSGO, Mouse Sports defeated Na'Vi in the Ice Challenge, moving them to number 1 in the ESL rankings.
We'll come back to that at a later date. But yes, the GG.bet Ice Challenge. And, again, that's 4 tournament wins in a row for Mouse. Chris J had one of the best, Tim. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. He had a 5v1 on Train. It was an amazing play. And that's the second 5v1 that I recall from Chris J, which is weird because that just doesn't happen that often. He had that other one on Mirage. I think this one may have topped it. So they ended up beating Na'Vi 3-1 in the finals there. Existence, long-time French player, IGL, retires from the professional CSGO scene. Wish him all the best, and he obviously meant a lot to the CSGO community. And a lot of your current IGLs watch tape on this player. He is an iconic in-game leader, and so we wish him all the best in whatever he moves on to. But he definitely leaves his stamp in Counter-Strike. Tim, this one was interesting.
Yeah, take this next one here.
Okay, so PGL is rumored, and this is coming from Polish leaks. He's a CSGO insider, but not named, a masked individual, I guess you could say. PGL was rumored to host the Fall Major, which was originally planned to be held in China. This is, again, not confirmed, but it's been confirmed by multiple people within the scene that they believe this is meant to be accurate. But with the coronavirus lingering, there is a chance of it moving countries and even potentially moving from PGL over to Blast Pro, which, if that were to happen, I mean, I don't... I get it has to move. It can't be in China. You can't even plan, even though it's oh, well, that's the fall.
It could be gone.
Should be good. You can't play around with that. So you're better off just making the move now. If you move it from PGL to Blast Pro, I think Blast Pro would put on a hell of a major.
Kind of
So
sucks for PGL, but yeah, I mean, Blast Pro has proven more than enough that
they're capable.
they can handle
They're
it.
capable.
Maybe he'll move to NA. That would be cool. I'd go to a major. Cloud9 officially released Mixwell. They free the man.
This guy's got to have some of the worst luck in
We've talked about
Counter-Strike.
it before.
You know, just again, another player. We wish all the best to him. I hope he gets onto a good team
It's a
and
Chinese
soon.
event in a coronavirus world. Just constantly gets canceled.
It's terrible for him. So, good luck to Mixwell though.
All right, and then happy 40th birthday to Hex. 40. Wow, you're so old. Maybe that's why you always forget that you'd say you come on the show and don't respond to DMs. Got him. No, it's whatever. It's cool. Happy birthday, Hex. That was literally just added there so I could take a shot.
Yep.
Overwatch, Blizzard notified staff only weeks prior to the launch of Season 3 that there would be no Russian coverage. This sucks because it could have been a Yikes of the week, but, we were on fire for Yikes. It's kind of just another stain on, thankfully not thankfully, but convenient that it came out during the weekend where everyone was too hyped to really notice, right?
Yeah, I mean, again,
that.
it's just another example of you hate to see stuff like this without notice. I get it. If they want to cut the Russian stream, so be it. Like, that's their decision to make it. It's just the way that they keep doing these, like, one after another. You kind of hope you learn from it and how to, treat your employees. Now, again, this is coming from, I'm assuming this is all 100% accurate. If this is the way that it was done, again, it's just another sad story. You hate to see it.
Like, the Russian studio who ran it was like, hey, we'll do it for borderline free. It
was like coming out to $1,700 a month or something,
something ridiculous.
It wasn't a lot. It was a little bit of money.
Like something that a company that posts $1 billion of revenue or whatever it is that Blizzard posts, they could have afforded it. And the studio in Russia was saying we'll provide free content, just pay the minimum for our guys. Just let it to where they can eat and pay rent. We will do everything else for free. And obviously Blizzard wasn't down for that. So that sucks. It just sucks. League of Legends, Machine will host the LEC through week 3 and 4. So he's done that before, but that's always good to see Machine getting a little bit more love than just the CS world.
He's one of the few that really can just do well in any game.
Well, he's a good host
too.
right?
It's rare to have that type of talent. So good for him getting that opportunity again.
Cloud9 and G2 both off to hot fire starts, being 6-0 in the Spring League. So we mentioned that before. Cloud9, NA's hope. Remember, what was that movie called? Plague?
Parasite?
Coronavirus? Something like that. If they can do it, so can Cloud9. Break that barrier. In Battle Royale, PUBG, speaking of the coronavirus, is ruining esports because now PUBG has to postpone their PUBG Berlin event, one of its 4 planned events for 2020, due to concerns of the coronavirus. Postponed, they did say they are still planning on having it. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Now, the Esports Arena is set to launch a semi-pro series, and that's going to be expanding their arenas to 8 different locations. I know Detroit has been mentioned as one of the new cities to be added to it, which that's fantastic. We don't see a ton of esports news coming out of Detroit other than the Renegades there, and I'm not sure
even that's
a whole lot what else. So that's cool that they're getting an arena over there, but I think that's also a good route to go because we see it here where we see these esports arenas and we see how they do a really good job of catering to that college or high school crowd. It fits in well. It becomes a community center.
I think exactly like you said, there's that community center. I think if they're realizing, hey, we don't just need a giant ESL event now to survive. We can have our local events and still survive, because with colleges and high schools, they don't have the setup for this stuff. So if
You're making money daily by doing this.
Yeah.
You're doing events every day. Like the arena over here is doing Apex one night, Fortnite one night, Counter-Strike one night, League of Legends one night.
I would like to go
It's
to the
literally
esports stadium
booked
on a
every
night
night.
just to see like what does
Yeah.
the Apex tournament pull. Maybe we can get one more and we can compete one time just to say we did.
I think we can do it, Tim.
I'll hide in a bush all game. In other news here, we also have Golden Guardians signed G7 for their Super Smash Brothers. Or I'm sorry, they signed the champions of Genesis 7, Zane. So obviously, I said watch how fast he gets signed after winning Genesis 7.
And there you go.
It took about 2 weeks because Golden Guardians signed them quickly after they said that they wanted to break into other games. So that's a good sign up for them. Also, it's always good to see Melee players getting picked up, I think, still by big orgs. Game's not dead, Evo. Suck it. Seth Manfield, legendary Magic player, signs with Team Envy straight out of left field.
I mean, he's like a legendary player. So, I mean, Envy is also like they branched off into FGC recently with Robe, right? And like they are finding their way into like some of these other games that don't require like, this is the beauty of FGC, or this is the beauty of a card player. Like it's one person you're having to manage.
Low
in this
maintenance.
Case. One low maintenance individual that is very good at his craft, and now he's representing your org. So nothing wrong with that. Congrats to him. And Magic might come up more, not necessarily on this show, but they do have the new MMO coming out. I believe there is like a TV show series, movie, something doing with Magic also coming out. So again, I think between the MMO, that there might be some sort of revival, and I believe they're also coming. They have their online game now as well. So again, good for them. Complexity and Limit get the world first Nyalotha. I think I am pronouncing that properly. But the world first raid for World of Warcraft. Complexity had a hell of a weekend, Tim. Okay, like we got to point this out. Complexity, second in the rankings for ESL. Blast Premier group stage. Complexity, world first, Nyalotha raid. They were partnered with Limit. Got to mention them, obviously. Partnered with them, get the world first there. Complexity won also their first ever FIFA E Club World Cup, beating Gareth Bale's new 11s team. That was in Milan, Italy. That ended in 0-0 and made its way to penalties. A thrilling finish, I'm sure, there for the E Club FIFA
for you, even in game
or E Club World Cup. But Complexity, 3 big showings this weekend and all over the place. So again, congrats to them. And then Tim, you want to finish it off there? I know that's gonna make us both proud.
That's right. The American Navy partners with DreamHack and ESL.
Beautiful.
We've also reported that the Navy ditched a lot of its traditional sports money sponsorship to focus more on esports. Well, there you go. We're already seeing it. So, hell of a show. Hell of a show. 211. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you so much for listening. Whether you skipped around or listened to the whole darn thing, love you all the same. Follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Of course, let us know what you think of the show on Twitter, Discord, iTunes. If you would like to leave us a review, it can be a 1-star, but it better be accurate, because I will fact check your ass and I will roast you on the show. If you've previously left a 1-star and you feel the need to correct it, feel free to do so. That's also acceptable. We will be back for our regular time on Thursday, so we'll record Wednesday night live on Twitch, and that Thursday episode will be out. Talk some previewing of the weekends, things like that. I think that's really all I got. It's a great show, everyone. Well deserved. Well deserved. So for Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see you next time.